Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Inks Reader. Today I am doing an exciting video. I am doing my birthday book haul slash wintry book haul. The majority of these books I've actually purchased either through charity shops or because it was my birthday at the end of February. So I'm gonna start just showing you the 3 books that I got from Fairyloot for the last 3 months, in case you're not interested in the unboxing itself, which I've done separately on my channel, apart from one. So the first one was the December book box for Fairyloot. This is Year of the Reaper. I really like this black cover. It's signed by the author and you got really nice inside. This is the only book I have actually not done an unboxing for. This is a low fantasy. It's loosely inspired by the Black Plague, and you, at the beginning of the novel, your main protagonist, after the land has been plagued by this illness and a lot of people died, he has also been taken prisoner by an enemy kingdom. So he's been in prison for a bunch of years and finally he has managed to escape and make his way back to his kingdom. And when he goes there, there is kind of a murder mystery to solve, kind of. And I really enjoyed this one. I wrapped this up in January, was it January, I think? And yeah, that's a stunning Fairyloot edition. Then you have the, this was January book box from Fairyloot, which is Only a Monster. And again, this cover is okay. I don't particularly love it. It's not an edition of Fairyloot that I particularly love. I really like this, but nothing else. And I just wrapped this up in February. This is the story of this girl. She comes from a family of monsters, quote unquote, and she always believed that her family kept saying we are monsters, but we were just kind of like a family legend. It was not true. She goes to spend her summer, as always, at her grandma's house. She's volunteering at this museum where she really likes this young man and he's finally asked her on a date. But when she goes on this date, something very weird happens and she has to come to the realization that her family might not be actually wrong when they say that they got special powers and there might be good guys after them. Yeah, read these and wrapped these up in my February wrap up if you're interested. And finally, without doubt, the best Fairyloot book thus far I received, I think I've been with them for 5 months, is Daughter of the Moon Goddess. I've unwrapped this up in the Fairyloot February unboxing. I'm in love. This is absolutely beautiful book, beautiful of this Daughter of the Moon Goddess who has been kept hidden by the emperor of his other kingdom. I don't remember the name. Can we appreciate this? And all of a sudden something happens and she has to now go to the kingdom of this emperor that she's been hidden from and train with his son or something of the sort under disguise. I don't know anything else about these. Even in Waterstone, when I saw this, it already looks stunning, but Fairyloot outdone themselves with this. Just breathtaking. This book is breathtaking and I'm gonna display it on my shelf like this because it doesn't need an explanation. I've got other 3 books coming, but I'm gonna insert a clip at the end just because I wanted to film these and they didn't make it in time. But I've got another couple of boxes, I'll leave them to the end just in case. And now randomly I'm gonna show you what's on my floor, which is a bit of a mess. Let's start with a banger. Let's start with these are such beautiful copies. So if you've seen my last unhaul, I was unhauling my Daughter of Smoke and Bone series because I enjoyed the series overall, but I had like 1 hardcover, 1 paperback, 1 hardcover from Italy. None of them matched and I was really upset and I was like, I'm gonna buy like a nice set when I found one, and I didn't expect to see one so beautiful so soon. But I've got here the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series and I hope the glare, so let me come closer. This book set of paperbacks is just the best. I'm gonna take them out for you because that's how much I care about you guys. I'm gonna unwrap these. I didn't even touch these. I was in love with this. When I saw it, I think I saw it for like a booktuber that I really like. I'm gonna link her down below. The box is a bit beaten up, which is a pity, but I'm gonna display that like this so it doesn't really matter too much. and I think I don't know if it's a USA covers, I don't know exactly, but you got, let me take them out, it's gonna be a nightmare putting them back in. Okay, so you got Daughter of Smoke and Bone, and then you got Days, I don't remember, I think this is the second one, Days of Blood and Starlight, and then you got Dreams of Gods and Monsters. I am like in love. I think I screamed when I saw this. I don't know, it's just, I know it's probably like, it might be not in everybody's taste, but these kind of neon vibes, I love them so much. So yeah, this is my now book set. It is a bit beaten because I think it comes from USA and the shipping has not been too kind, but nothing major. And I've got my matching set now that can go on my shelves. This I bought for my birthday in a Waterstone in the Cotswolds. I spent a weekend there. I'm gonna put up a vlog very soon, and I of course had to stop at Waterstone, so I bought Killing and Dying. This is a collection of short stories in a graphic novel format. I heard about this a bunch of years ago on BookTube, and it won a prize, and I don't know if it's like contemporary stories with very important topics in it. I don't know much about these. I really liked though the premise. It's not horror, but I think there are some crime elements to it, and so I'm looking forward to reading these. Then on that same trip I bought Pachinko finally, because I really wanted this cover and I couldn't find it for ages. Like the one I could buy online was different, so I waited and waited, and finally at this Waterstone I found it. Pachinko is a historical fiction about this family who are forced to move from Korea to Japan, where they are very much discriminated, and you follow, it's kind of a family saga where you follow this family originally from Korea trying to make a life for themselves in Japan. And I think Pachinko, if I'm not mistaken, Pachinko are kind of like machines, like where you play, like it's not casino machines, but sort of, it's like a game you play on this machine called Pachinko, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I am mistaken in the comments down below. And in the same trip I found The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. I've read and loved The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in January, loved that book so much, and I wanted to continue on with the series. Unfortunately there was no matching version for my first one, because I think I got an anniversary edition with blue pages. So usually in UK at least, this is how the other covers should look like. Not the biggest fan, but that's how they do them. So I bought this, which is the continuation. Then I've got Mexican Gothic. This is a horror story that had been going all over BookTube last year, I believe, or the year before, I think last year. Love the cover, and although I really enjoy horror, and from what I've heard, some people say this is very mad, some other people say this is not really horror, so I want to make my mind about these. All I know about this is that basically this girl, she has to respond to a letter from a cousin of hers who says, please come and help me because I just wed this man and something is very off. So she decides to go and help the cousin and goes to their house and stuff goes down. Really looking forward to these. I've been intrigued by this book for ages, and then I kept hearing like mixed reviews, so I couldn't never decide. But then I saw this in Waterstone in the Cotswolds. I was like, it's destiny, I need to read these. And then I bought Salem's Lot by Stephen King. Stephen King has got so many novels, and I do want to make my way through all of them or most of them. However, when it comes down to the canon and the fact that I really love vampire and witches story, the only one I had left of his older books. I've read like all the other very famous ones, and Salem's Lot, I've heard from people that I trust that it's one of still of his best, or that I really liked it, especially because again I like vampire and witches. So this is about this writer who moves to this town and then creepy things start to happen. I don't know in which format witches and vampire comes into play. I just know that they are part of a story somehow. And yeah, I was looking for a cover for it that I didn't despise and bought these in that trip. Then another book that I bought because I saw the cover and I really liked it was Spin the Dawn. This, again, this is a YA fantasy. and usually I would not necessarily buy these. However, it's Oriental inspired, which I really enjoy, something that I want to read more of, because I didn't read many of those kind of YA or fantasy for that matter. And I mean, the cover is just beautiful. I think this is about this girl. She dreams to be a tailor, either because of the fact that she's born a girl, she can only hope to marry well. And one day, the emperor summons her father to court, and the father is ill, and she decides to disguise herself as a man and go instead of his father. So yeah, I don't know, I think there's a sequel to this. I think it's a series, but correct me if I am wrong. And then finally I've got The Binding, which is a book that apparently has been going everywhere, and it's a book about books. And initially I wasn't sold on this, but I didn't know very well the premise. But also another book that turned out to be my favorite book ever, and I at the beginning was like, oh, this is a book about books, and weirdly enough I'm not the biggest fan of it. I thought at the time was The Shadow of the Wind. I read that book and it's my favorite book ever. So I was like, okay, this sounds like the same experience I had with Shadow of the Wind, where I'm not reaching for it, and then people keep saying, read it, read it, read it, and I might actually end up finding another favorite. So this is The Binding, as I said, and this is the story of basically this library where people that don't want to remember something, they can put a memory in a book, and then once the memory is in the book, they will forget about that. And you follow the librarian of this library, I don't know what it's called, and one day though he finds a book with his name on it. And I think there is a sequel to this. I've not heard anything about the sequel. I've not heard much about this apart from a couple of people, and also it's a #1 bestseller. So I mean, yes, it's got a lot of things that potentially will capture me, and hopefully I will love it. And then you might have seen my January wrap-up, in which I read and absolutely loved Intensity by Dean Koontz. So I went to charity shops a couple of times in these last 3 months and found a bunch of Dean Koontz books, and I was like, let me, it's one of those authors that I want to read everything about. Some of my subscribers very kindly told me that some books are very, very bad. And I do believe it, because it's like Stephen King, some are hits and some are misses, definitely. But still, if it's a miss, I'm just gonna donate it again. I don't mind, I'm gonna give it a try. So I've got Your Heart Belongs to Me. This is a thriller where basically you just follow this guy who needs a heart transplant. Finally he gets one, and he thinks that everything is fine now, and all of a sudden he finds himself with people after him or in danger, or the synopsis is so vague, I don't know, but it's just a thriller about this guy who's given a heart, and I guess whoever gave the heart, I don't know, now they want something back from him, I don't know. Then I got a book that I don't know anything about, and there is no synopsis, basically nothing that's remotely useful for me to pass on to you guys. But that's Firefly, and this is a horror novel that I found secondhand on Amazon, and it just smells like dust. Things are dropping off. There's a private name on it, so I'm not gonna say. Then I've got American Pop, which is a book that I had to buy from USA. First of all, I mean, is it taco edges, how you call it? I love them. Like, if all my books could have them, I would change them. I don't know, people hate them. I love them so much, and I really enjoy like this kind of library feeling book, like, with the transparent thing put on the dust jacket, I don't know how you call it. So yeah, love the aesthetic of this book. And this is a family saga about this family who apparently they were the maker of a very, very popular drink. Now of course it's like analysis for Coca-Cola. I don't know how they're gonna call this drink in the book, but you follow a family saga around them making a fortune with this drink, and I guess how the mighty fall, I guess. I don't know. I love, as I said, family sagas, and I've not read them in ages, so wanted to give another one a try. My voice is abandoning me. And I've got a couple of mangas, and I bought these in 2 separate trips to Waterstone, I believe. Actually, I bought these in 2 different Waterstone on the same trip. I went around Waterstones that day. So I bought Remina by Junji Ito. This is the king of horror manga. I mean, this is one of the very famous ones. And this is a story, so this is one manga collection. From the synopsis, it seems like this wormhole opens up and a planet emerges from this wormhole, and you've got a doctor who names one of the objects or things that comes out of that wormhole. Remina, I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. Initially, she seems like good, perfect, and then destruction comes in. I don't know, I will read it. It's a very vague synopsis. And then I also bought a collection actually of horror manga short stories, and this is Dessert. And I think this matches my other, sorry about that, Ito short story collection, which I really enjoyed. So this is, I think, a continuation of that series. So yeah, looking forward to this. And again, same, it's Ito, so it's always the same art style. Then on the same trip to like the two Waterstones, I bought On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. This is a book I wanted for the longest time. People rave about this all the time. This is a literary fiction. It's about these young men and his mother. They are from Vietnam, I believe. They move in another country, I think USA, and this is basically this young man letters to his mother. And I heard it's beautifully written with such difficult topics about war and how, you know, being an immigrant is. And yeah, it's just from the cover to the content, like I've never heard someone hating these, so I don't see why I should hate these. Another couple of books I picked up in that trip was Kingdom of the Wicked, another very famous fantasy YA book that's been going on. And I think this is about these twin sisters, they're streghe. So streghe means witches in Italian. I don't know if it's based on Italian history, could be. I think I've heard something similar. So they are streghe, they're twins, and one day they have to meet at the restaurant to have dinner together as always. However, one of the twins doesn't turn up and she is found by our main protagonist later on brutally murdered, and I think she has to solve the murder of her beloved twin, and she's aided by in this mission by a prince of hell. I've heard amazing things about the romance in these, and in general it's very well beloved YA fantasy, and I was just curious. Maybe the Italian history thing also had a part in it, because, you know, I'm from Italy, so I was curious to see how that's handled. And then also I've got The Bone Shard Daughter. This is a very divisive YA, or I don't know, it's adult, I think it's YA, might be adult, I don't know. Fantasy. I've heard people loving it and people really disliking it. And the only thing though, that everybody that read this book kind of, I could see a thread between people speaking about this despite the fact that they might have liked it or not, is that it's a very difficult synopsis to give. You follow basically this world where there is bone shard magic. So I don't know if I use bones to make construct, and they can control bones and bones will act upon their wishes and will. I might be wrong, that's just how I perceived it from the back. And now the emperor was reigned for many decades without any issue is now losing powers, or something's going on, and he decides that his daughter is not going to take the throne after him, and she then decides, okay, you know what, I'm going to prove myself by conquering a very special kind of magic, so then I can be worthy of its throne. Don't know anything else about these. A classic I found in a charity shop, which is Don Quixote, I don't know how you pronounce it. This one, okay, this is a classic book, it's a massive book. All I know is that Don Quixote, okay, I'm butchering the name, I know, is this erratic knight that goes around, I don't know, trying to do his best and making messes with like his, is it a donkey or horse, and Sancho Panza, which is like his second in command. I don't know anything about this, okay guys, I'll be really honest, but I heard that so many people, this is their favorite classics ever. Hopefully it's funny, hopefully it's easily read considering how big this is, and it's one of the classics that I've done a video of a classic that I wanted to read, and this probably it takes the cake in one of the ones that I'm more looking forward to read. So then I found this thriller and I was kind of captivated by the premise. So this is The Hypnotist, and found this in the charity shop, and this is about this boy who witnessed the brutal murder of his family, and now there is a detective who's trying to make the boy talk, and the boy doesn't want to talk, or is struggling to recollect or like give voice to his memories. He's of course likely very traumatized, and so she hires this hypnotist with the goal of, you know, hypnotize him and make him remember so they can catch the bad guys. And I don't know anything else about this. Like, the cover is chilling, and I think I've heard, I don't know, is there a movie of this? I think there might be a movie. I'll have a look. So reading the book, and eventually if there is a movie, I'm gonna watch the movie. Then a book that I have read and bought because I own the second book by Fairy Loot, and I realized there was a second book in the duology, so this is The Midnight Lie. This is a dystopian YA fantasy. I've read this in February and talked about this in February, so I'm not gonna go in any details in here, apart from the fact that this is a dystopian where you got poor people and rich people that are divided by a wall. You follow a poor girl that one day finds a bird that was lost by the rich people. She tries to capture it and things starts going from there. This contains a sapphic romance that I really enjoyed, and if you want to know my thoughts about this, you can find them in my February wrap up. But can we also appreciate this cover? Okay, the Fairy Loot edition is, well, of course, it's stellar. I really enjoy also this edition that you can find in a normal shop. Beyond Redemption. This is a book I bought on Amazon. I tried to read the synopsis so I could tell you what was this about, and it went over my head. I couldn't understand what this was about. I just know it's a dark, grim fantasy, came highly recommended, and all I could grasp from the synopsis is that they are trying to make this boy ascend and become a god, and I guess there are some issues there. So I'm gonna read these and let you know I'm up for a fantasy, grim dark fantasy. It's blurred by people saying that they're absolutely stunning and it's innovative. Looking forward to reading these. Then I pre-order from Waterstone, House of Sky and Breath, second book in the Crescent City series by J. Maas. I don't know, let me know why this is exclusive, because I didn't get it. Apart from these, I don't know if the normal edition have them, not complaining, they're beautiful. I was expecting something more, some, I don't know, engraving on the book, some spread pages, nothing. Maybe we have a map in here, that's why it's exclusive. I don't know, if you have like a normal edition, let me know, because I was overall a bit like, why is this exclusive and it's not a normal copy? Everybody knows what this is about, right? You don't need me to tell you. And then I've got Berserk Deluxe Edition, second volume, the Deluxe Edition. I'm making my way through this. This is a grim dark, the grimmiest, darkest manga you could probably think of. And it's a massive series and you follow Gus. Gus is on a path of revenge after, I'm trying to open this in the meantime, after people, I don't know, things did horrible things to him. And so he's going around the world looking for demons that possess humans. And he's not really caring about humans at all, at least at the beginning. I don't know how it's gonna progress. But he has a massive sword and he's on a path of revenge. I'm struggling here, okay? As you can see, there is sexual content, it's bloody violent, and I love it because of it. And I wanted to continue on. And if you've seen my TBR for March, I am hopefully getting through these. Let me see if I can show you some of the art. I love these editions. Like, they're very simplistic, but for what they tell, I think this is a perfect format. Another Dinkun's Charity Finding, the other Emily, and this is basically the story of this girl. One day she's on a trip, she stops her car and she's never found again. They think she's been a victim of a serial killer who's then apprehended, and then you follow her partner who never came to terms with the fact that he has lost her, and he's even, you know, going to prison and kind of speaking with this serial killer in order to just keep speaking and keep having her in his mind, I guess. That's not very clear. And then one day he meets a woman, and the demeanor of this woman, the way she behaves, the way she even kisses him, it's exactly identical as Emily. So he starts wondering if this girl is Emily, possibly could be Emily. Don't know anything else. It's a thriller visiting Kunz, so it's a good receipt. And then by Dinkun's I've got Elsewhere, and this is kind of a sci-fi thrillerish story, another charity finding, and I think you follow this man and his daughter. The wife left them and he's trying to raise the daughter, and one day they found these weird objects, and turns out that these objects allows them to jump from parallel universe. And I don't know if they're gonna look for the wife, they're gonna look for something else, and I guess there is a bad guy involved that wants to use the object for no good. But yeah, another Dinkun's.
Meanwhile,
then I'm continuing the series by Joan Nesbo of Ariho. Every time I found one in a charity shop, I buy that. I found the Redeemer, don't know in which order they are. I found the Red Breast and Nemesis. So I've read the first two books, and I think I own now the third one. Maybe one of these is the third one and the fourth one, and then I had the fifth one already and the sixth one. I don't know. I'm making my way through the Jones book. He's a detective and he's solving crimes in each book. It's like a 3.5 stars for me. But I don't know, something keeps, luring me back in. And I've heard that the more it goes on the series, the better it gets. Then I have found in a charity shop for £1 Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. And these, I never actually intended to read these, to be fair. But then it stared at me in good conditions for £1 in a charity shop. And I was like, I must be very stupid to just give these a miss, especially because people, although they complain for how long this is, really end up enjoying it. And I don't know anything about these, about that you have these two characters, and I think they are mages or something, that they start this duel that becomes like a life thing, where for decades they are like antagonists of each other, but also kind of connected to each other somehow. Don't know anything about the plot of this, but has been kind of famous going around. I want to read Piranesi by her also, and I mean, I'm not scared of big books, to be fair. So this will happen one day, and I own it for £1. Another detective series I'm continuing on is the Jane Harper series. The first book was The Dry. I really enjoyed it. This is Force of Nature. I don't know if this is, I think it's the second one, and this is about these women. A bunch of women go and decide to go camping or like go on a walk. They pick up their backpacks and just go. And they have to cross this land, but one of them doesn't come back. And I guess our detective has to find out what happens to that woman. Another charity finding that I have no idea what the plot is about. I think it's a literary fiction / historical fiction, is The God of Small Things. It's one of those books that I keep hearing about now and then, or in lists of books that are really good, or I see them at Waterstone or bookshops when I go, and I kept being intrigued by this. And then I found this for £1 in a charity shop, and I decided, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. Don't know anything about these, however, I really like the cover, and I've been really enjoying historical fiction as of late. I'm not gonna become like an old historical fiction reader, but I'm definitely wanting to integrate more because so far it's been so good. A couple of Stephen King's charity shop findings was The Dark Half. I've never heard of this by Stephen King, and this is like, there is a title, but it's like that. I tried to take off a sticker, which was a disaster. So anyway, let's just not look behind. And all I know is about this author. He writes using a pseudonym, and he writes very violent thriller. And then something is happening now that he's writing books with his own name again. Don't know anything else about these. I've never heard of these. I think Stephen King has got a thing with writing stories about writers. Then, shit happens, like misery and so on. I've noticed a theme there, definitely. Then I got Geralds Game, which is another very famous Stephen King book, and found this in a charity shop again. One day, maybe I will have, if I love the majority of his books, I will purchase them in matching copies, but for now I don't mind. And this is about basically this wife and this husband. They go in this cabin out of nowhere, and he's got a thing for, I don't know if it's like sadomasochism or like kinky games. So basically they're doing these kinky games. She is handcuffed to the bed, and then he dies, and now she's trapped in the middle of nowhere where no one can hear her scream, and she has to get out or die of starvation or whatever. And there are some weird voices in her head. I don't know, but I'm intrigued by Geralds Game. Gerald, I don't know how you pronounce it. So yeah, and the last one, it's by Stephen King that I found in a charity shop, is Needful Things, another one that I'm really looking forward to read. This is about this town where this shop opens, and it's kind of like a pawn shop. And basically in this shop, people can find whatever they want for a very affordable price. However, the real price is something else. I know about the plot a tiny bit, what's behind, but I don't want to give it as a spoiler. It's a shop where you can find what you want and for cheap, and there is a price though attached to that doesn't come in, like you don't have to pay money for it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this, another big chunk of book. And then before we go to unboxing and the other clip you see at the end, we have John Harvey, Far Cry. another that I bought at a charity shop. The only reason why I bought these actually was because if I found like 5 books, I had to pay £2, and it's just like a promotion thing. So I picked up the first thriller I could find. You got this couple, one day they're on holiday and they receive a call that their daughter was in Cornwall with friends on a holiday weather. She disappeared and they think that she was victim of foul play. Now they separate, they remarry, and they have other children, other relationships, and all of a sudden something happens. I don't know if there are girls disappearing or something. And I think her, so the mother, has now to deal with this new disappearance. I don't know the father if he's also involved. But it's a thriller. This guy apparently has written other Sunday Times bestseller, so hopefully it's not too bad. Let's go into the unboxing. I just got a couple of unboxing in here, but I'm going to try to do it when the other arrives. So first of all, we have a pre-order, which is Justice of Kings. And what I know about this is a debut novel, I believe, and I pre-ordered it because it came so recommended by so many booktubers that read fantasy and that I really enjoy and trust their review, that I just decided to pre-order. It was kind of cheap on Amazon, and this is a political fantasy where basically you have a murder mystery. So you got this order of justice where there is this man and his protege that have to find the killer of this aristocrat, and they're gonna come across a lot of political intrigue. And it's a murder mystery though at its core, which is what fascinated me, because it's a murder mystery, kind of a detective story in a fantasy world. So came highly recommended, looking very much forward to reading this. And the other one that I already have in my hands, it's actually a self-published, very highly recommended high fantasy that you, if you read fantasy or if you follow some other fantasy reviewer, you probably have come across these. And this is, oh, it looks stunning, The Sword of Kagan. I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. I'm not going to butcher the name of the author, but I love this self-published book. It looks so sturdy. I love it. Absolutely in love with these. And I don't know much about these, apart from that basically you follow a descendant of these very famous warriors that have, not only are amazing fighters, but I think they also have some kind of supernatural powers. Maybe not, maybe they're just amazing fighters, but she's trained as one of them, and one day she marries, so she decides to kind of put the sword aside and just focus on being a mother and a wife. And then the enemies threaten to invade, so she has to defend her family, her land. The premise is similar to Wildcat, another series that has been sent by me very kindly by the author, and again it's a military fantasy with that same premise where you got this young woman warrior that she's about to marry, and so she's giving up being a warrior, and then something happens and she has to go back to that. And I really enjoyed the book, and I've heard amazing things about this, so because the premise is so similar and I really loved it, I'm hoping that we love this as much.
Day 3.
Hi guys, so I just came back home from work and this was waiting for me, so I'm gonna open it up before I get changed and get something to eat because I didn't have time to eat today. So I am gonna, let me think where I can put you guys. We are gonna go with this. Let me grab knife. Okay, these are the last 3 books I bought myself for my birthday. Of course, the last bit, stacks, sneak peek. Okay. So first of all, we have Assassin's Quest, which is the second book in the Farseer trilogy. I've read in February and really enjoyed Assassin Apprentice, so wanted to continue on with this series, a coming of age, court intrigue, epic, high fantasy, very famous, and yeah, I wanted the sequel. We have another sequel and another book I read in February and really enjoyed. This is The Tropic of Serpents, second book in the Lady Trent memoirs. This is a fantasy masked as historical fiction where you follow the adventures of Lady Trent, who was the first, I think, woman to be a dragon naturalist. Basically, in this world, there are dragons, and people wants to study them, and she's one of those people who wants to study them. And let's just say that it kind of takes place in what I would consider like Victorian era, alternative Victorian era, if you want. So of course women are supposed to just marry and stay home with children, especially someone who has her who is noble born, and instead she wants to go on adventures and study dragons. And can we appreciate the beauty of this series? It's just stunning covers. And lastly, I have How High We Go in the Dark. This is a sci-fi with some literature fiction element to it. I've heard that, yeah, you can, it's a sci-fi technically speaking, but it reads a lot like literature fiction. And for what I understand of other people reading these, it's kind of take a form of short stories that at the end they all come together. And it's about different people surviving a pandemic. It wasn't COVID. I don't know if it has any similarities to COVID, but this is the book pick for my book club that I have with some of my ex-colleagues, my other company. We remained friends and we put together a book club in person. So we meet every 2 months, more or less. And this is the pick for the next book. Meeting in April, so I need to go around to read these, actually. That's all. Back to old me. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what book you are very excited that you bought or that you're excited to read. And I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Ciao.